Hey, I'm Michael Kaplan with fiddlershop.com, and this is a new segment I'm starting all about strings. I haven't thought of a good name for it. It's like String Talk with Michael, or Michael rambles about strings for 10 minutes. I'm going to try to keep it shorter than that. But today we're talking about D'Addario Kaplan Amo. And to be clear, there is another Kaplan. These are Kaplan Vivos, and the general perception is that these are brighter, these are warmer, but we'll get into more of that later. Talking about strings is kind of difficult because everybody has a different perception. It's a lot like wine. It'd be like, yes, I think it has sort of a tennis ball flavor. Yeah, I'm getting some rubber hose, maybe a little bit of burnt earth smell to it. Do you smell that? And so strings are a little bit like that. That's like, oh, I think they're warmer. I think they have a sort of a rich palate to them. So I'm gonna try to, I have to talk a little bit about in those terms, but I'm also gonna try to demonstrate for you so you can hear the strings, and also show you a little bit scientific, try to prove scientifically what we're hearing and our perception, why we are hearing these things. I don't know if it'll work. Bear with me as this is a learning process for all of us here. Doesn't that sound nice? Every day is a school day here. So all these videos, I'm gonna be using the same Fiddlerman Artist violin, and also the Holstein 3-star Pernambuco bow. Do I need to say that you can find this all at fiddlershop.com? Yeah, I think that'd be pretty obvious. So, Kaplan Amo, or if you're from Michigan, Kaplan Amo. I'm from Michigan, obviously. Nothing against Michiganders. So, what do we need to know? All the D'Addario strings are made in the US of A, America. And they are a synthetic core. I'm just gonna read a little bit of what this says on the back. That they deliver, the Amos provide a warmth, richness, and flexibility for brighter instruments, and they settle in quickly. So that's a great thing about the synthetic core, right? Is that they settle in quickly, they generally stay put, they're not really affected by humidity or changes in temperature. That's the argument for a synthetic core. One thing they mention here is that it provides a flexibility for brighter instruments. So it's talking a little bit about, this is why picking violin strings is a little bit difficult, because you can either choose to, you can sort of use your strings to flavor your violin sound, and then a lot of that has to do with your general perception of what a violin should sound like, or what kind of playing you think your violin should sound like. A lot of, if you like that warmer, rich kind of pearlminess kind of warmth and lusciousness, you're gonna want a warmer string. But some people really like brilliant and powerful. Some people think that sounds shrill and too sharp, and they don't like that sort of brilliance and focused sound, that like driving focused sound. And some people will try to, if their violin is naturally warmer or darker, they'll try to, maybe they'll find a brighter string to sort of correct that, or they'll find a warmer string and sort of double down. Is that like a blackjack term? I'm gonna double down on my dark sound, to really go that way. And some of it also is, if you think of yourself as a warm player, or you think of yourself as a brilliant player, you could sometimes it doesn't even have to do with your instrument. It could be that your perception of, you want your playing to be more brilliant. You want, so it's very complicated and very subjective. So all that to say, what works for me and what works on this violin, your results may vary. Your mileage may vary. Let's get down to it. I'm gonna play, this is hopefully still at 440. This is the Kaplan Amo. Okay, so it definitely has that warmth that they're talking about in the package. I get it. It sort of has that like husky, kind of musky sound. Why are both words so similar? Husky and musky. Maybe I feel that way because as a kid I was always a husky. You know, you could just say you're overweight, kid. But no, they said, oh no, there's a department for you. It's the husky boy section. So it has that kind of richness to it. Sometimes I feel like we use the term richness and lusciousness to sort of compensate for a lack of clarity. And I think that this falls a little bit into that category, that because it has that warmth and that sort of, it has that nice kind of record player kind of ness to it, that it's not the most pure sound. It sounds like the sound has just a little bit of peach fuzz on the sound. So you're gonna have to bear with me. These are sort of strange ways to define sound, but how else are we gonna talk about it? So it's a great set, and I for right now I believe these are currently selling for about $80, and that's not a cheap set of strings, but it's also nowhere near the most expensive strings. So it's a very nice, I think, middle of the road set of strings. What I'm gonna do now is just gonna play the solid A and see if we can see on the frequency spectrograph, I don't know if that's what it's really called, all the frequencies, and what this is gonna show is sort of where the harmonics are and how many different harmonics we're actually hearing, and see if that has any indication of sort of the vibrancy. So I'm gonna do a couple short notes. Okay, let's figure out what the heck we're looking at. I know this is confusing. The green waveform, that is just measuring the amplitude over time. If I go left and right, that's over time. And then it's measuring the decibels, whatever, that's the loudness. That's the waveform that you see that's in green. This other waveform, the reds and the yellows and the pinks, this is all measuring the frequencies, and you can see on the right side it's measured in hertz. And so these lines are all the overtone series that we're hearing. If you were sleeping through your freshman theory class, this might have been something you had a test on in your first semester and then promptly forgot. At least that's what happened for me. So it's sort of like a heat map, and it's showing us the intensity of these frequencies. And this is just the open A. So you can see the bottom line, this is our fundamental A 440. And then the second one is an octave above that. And then we have a fifth above that and a fourth above that. And it goes up and up and up. I have them listed here so you can see the actual hertz. And it's interesting that in theory, this is what we learned in the textbook, that these are where those overtones are. And you can see after I measured them, they line up. So yay, everything works out. Isn't that exciting when the textbook is the same as in real life? So it's hard to say what all this means by just looking at one picture of one string. So I'm going to compare the Kaplan Amos with the Eva Perazzi greens. And something I see right away is that the fundamental looks the same, that it's about the same intensity, but the second overtone, the octave above it, is so much more present on the Eva Perazzi greens than it is on the Kaplans. Similarly, the third and fourth partials, you don't hear as much. And then it's interesting that fifth partial is so present. That would be the C sharp. That I think is interesting. There's also some interesting things about the decay after I released the string. You can see sort of the taper. That on the Eva Perazzi's, it looks like those you hear a little bit more resonance, a little bit more ring. Again, this could be a little bit of user error. I'm not a machine. Maybe I didn't play them all at the exact same volume or the same strength. So there could be a little bit of user bias here. Just sort of in general, some things I noticed is that the Ava Parazzi side just looks much brighter, much more colorful. There's much more red and yellows on the screen. The Kaplan side is a little bit darker. It just has a little bit of more purples, and again, that's not necessarily meaning that's what we hear color-wise, but it means we're not hearing as much as of those overtones, and that's really what we're talking about when we're trying to judge the color of a string. Is we're talking about timbre. And timbre is all related to how much of the overtones we're actually hearing. So this is what I found. I'm gonna keep experimenting with measuring these, and maybe I'll play all 4 open strings instead of just hearing just the open A, and see what that turns up. All right, so that is the D'Addario Kaplan Amo. If you're interested in picking this up, you can find a link for it in the description. Also, let me know in the comments, do you use the Kaplan Amos? Do you think they are that warmth and richness, and it has the flexibility that you need? If you used to use it, what did you switch to? And what do you think now? So that is that. I'm Michael O'Giblin. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.